This is Don O'Berry here, and we're going over Monolithic and Microservice, comparing those two, and then I'll also be doing a quick lab demonstration also. So let's get started with the lab. So it takes place on this Docker here, so I spun up a session, and I have this container ready to rock and roll here. You click Add New Instance. So I'm doing the News API one here, and I'll post a link to this in the video below here. So this just talks about how, the container is and what the web components are doing, and so you basically go through and just copy and paste all of these into here, and so then you run this, and then you run the next one, configure it, and it's nice because it goes through and it tells you what what you're actually doing. You're not just like mindlessly plugging and chugging code. You can take before I did this the first time, I took the time and read each one of these things here. And so then you can you'll need the API key. Just copy and paste that, and then we go edit the file. So this second one here is .ev. We created that file. So we go in here, yada yada yada. Open that up. .dev thingy. Save that in our key into there. So it calls that key. Save that. And we'll exit out of here, and then when we go back into here, now we need to open up port 4000, which is the back end of the website. And we're copying and paste this link because this doesn't exist yet because the application isn't running yet. Then we need to go put that into our .env, and so we copy and paste that here. We save that. So basically we're just basically creating like a microservice here, I think, at least. That's the way I interpret it, because it's not like Monolithic where has as much structure, I guess, where it's kind of like edit things on the fly here. So we save that, and so then once we have everything set up to run it, and so now we got our API key, we got the public URL, we opened port 400. Now we just have to run that docker compose.up to start it. Docker-compose space up. It runs it, and then it'll take a couple seconds here to do everything. So we'll just go talk about my blog post here, Sam Darnold. Basically the difference is Monolithic is more the traditional way that applications were kind of created in the past, where it's kind of like a database user interface and the server side. And the microservice is much more like fluid, and it's like oriented with the app APIs. So one of the benefits that I saw was scalability, where you can it's easier to just adapt things and make things, push things out to more people. One thing that was nice was I saw you didn't have to shut everything down to make a change here. You can make a change on the fly and it doesn't impact anyone downstream. So you can edit stuff on the go here. Kind of how we were editing the API code while this whole thing was, while this container was still running, we were changing the code in it during that whole time. So, and then also microservices are running on the protocol HTTP, but HTTP wasn't designed for this, so it seems there are some problems and hurdles that people have to get over to create the microservices. There were some good articles here. This one really compared the two, Monolithic and architecture, and then this one showed me a lot about what microservices exactly are, because I was still a little confused about how they worked, and just kind of shows here it's kind of how this was the old Monolithic, just one thing, and then we have this where it's kind of much more decentralized and a lot more dynamic, I guess. Here, yeah, dynamic. So it just kind of talked about then the advantages and disadvantages, kind of how they're independent and more team autonomy. It seems that's where the internet's going, with more of something the open source and the web components, and how we're kind of pulling from everywhere, and not just we're building one thing then that thing's running. So let's go see if so my Docker's done, so we're ready to go now. So now we have to open up port 80, which is the side that us humans see, and so then when we open that up, and it goes and it runs latest news, and it pulls the latest news here. And so this is kind of show, if we inspect it, just see how you can edit things on the fly here. So you can just kind of change laptop. We'll just go to first thing I saw was a potato chip. We search that, and then it'll pull up potato chip news articles kind of like just on the fly here. None of them look. I guess this is potato chip, peanut butter and jelly potato chip sandwich. Sounds alright. So yeah, so that's how you basically like can set up your own container here, and we just kind of like created our own little service that was running through this Docker sandbox, and that talks about that here, and then how we built the different images. Anything else here? Then you can also go down through more here to explain this is how they in the sandbox how you change the like the data, and like how they you can like then you don't have to edit things like on the. I think if you do this, you don't have to like edit it in the word page. It just like automatically loads like what you want or like what you search. And I think so. Yeah, and then this just had some more differences about the costs are higher. But I think it seemed like distributing work here like among small development teams. I think like kind of like busting up kind of like the big groups of working on like one big project, and then like something happens to that project, like things could be down for a while. Whereas like with microservices, it seems like they kind of like take a punch where it's like if something else goes down, something else can pop up and fill in for that. So I'll link to all this stuff in the article here in the blog post. And so if you want to check this out, I'll also link to the GitHub to post to if you want to try out this lab here and explore. But other than that, yeah, so we've run the Docker here, and then I'm not going to go do this next part because that takes a little bit. This took a little bit more time for me on the first part, but yeah. So that's all I got for today, and thank you for watching.